Hey everyone, so I'm out in my living room because one of my neighbors is like whacking the weeds in their backyard and it's very loud, so I thought I would just come out here and film since there's light anyways. I just really hope nobody walks by my front door because that is my phone, because my door is wide open and I'm just sitting here talking to a camera that is stacked on top of a couple cereal boxes. So yeah, that would be a really weird sight for anybody walking by. So I was tagged to do the time and place tag by the two lovely ladies over at Two Paper Girls. I will put a link to their YouTube channel down below if you guys are interested in going to check them out. So this tag actually seems pretty cool. Apparently it's not one where like you just answer a bunch of questions. You're just supposed to, whoops, sorry. You're just supposed to pick a few books that you have a memory attached to them for a time and a place, and you are just supposed to talk about the memory that you have for this book. So I have a list here of some of the books that I have like pretty like good memories for. I only have a couple books here in front of me, so I'll put a picture of the book whenever I talk about it. But the first book that I have here to talk about is The Catcher in the Rye. So I actually read this book when I was a senior in high school, and the memory that I have with this is when I was a junior going into my senior year. During the summer I volunteered something for freshmen or something like that. I don't know how we got to talking about it, but I'm like, what if I were to do like a book club? And my teacher's like, yeah, I'll be the teacher that'll sign on for your book club and like we can do it together. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So when school started, I filled out the form because you had to like fill out a form or whatever to start your own club. So I did, and I created the Book Reader Society. That's what I decided to call it because I had recently read this book with the word society in it, the Great Benedict Society, something like that. I'll put a picture if I remember what it is. But I remember it was these kids and they're like at the school and they called something a society, and so I was like, oh, book club kind of just sounds boring. So I was like, Book Reader Society, that sounds like eloquent and fancy. So that's the name that I went with for my club. And so we met like every Tuesday, I think, during lunchtime in my teacher's classroom. And so I remember that the first club meeting had a great turnout. There was like 30 people that showed up, and I was like, oh my god, that I didn't think that so many people would show up. So it was really cool. So we started off the meeting with like, okay, so what book do you guys want to read? I like had people tell me options or whatever, and so my teacher was like, oh, why don't you guys read The Catcher in the Rye? There's a supply, because that was one issue. I'm like, how's everybody gonna get the book if they don't have it already, because books are expensive, as we know. And so I didn't want to really put anybody out to like go and buy a book or like not have it at the library or something. So I took up my teacher's offer to read this book because I didn't really know what else to do. And so I had everybody get this one, and this is the book that we read in my book club. And it was really funny because I actually really don't like this book. I know that it's a classic and people love and adore this book, but I just really, I didn't understand it. Maybe I would if I read it again. People slowly started not coming, which was fine because like not everybody wants to read a classic just for fun. But it was a cool experience, and I'm glad that I did it. I got a picture in the yearbook, so that was cool. The next book that I have here to discuss, I think everybody will pick. I choose this book for almost every tag, and I talk about it all the time. All the time. So what I have here is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I remember reading when I was, you know what, actually, I wrote in it because that's how much of a dork I am. I started it on February 11th, 2008 and ended it on March 5th, 2008. I don't know if you can see that, but I wrote in this book as a like 6th grader or whenever it was that when this book came out. So I guess it took me like a month to read because I was like, I don't know, like 11 when I finished this book. So yeah, the memory that I have with this book, I don't remember like exactly where I was or if I was like in my room reading it. I don't know where exactly I finished this, but I remember getting to the end, and I'm just gonna spoil it. If you haven't read this book already and you don't know the end, like, what are you doing with your life? I'm just kidding. But yeah, seriously, I'm just gonna spoil it. So y'all know Voldemort dies, right? And I remember getting to the end and Voldemort and Harry are fighting, the final fight, right? And so I'm reading this part and I'm like, what's gonna happen? And Voldemort casts the killing curse. And what happens is, he casts it, it like bounces off of a wall and comes back to him, and so he kind of like kills himself. And I don't really think that's how it happens in the movie. In the movie, all of Voldemort's Horcruxes die, including Harry, and then they have the final battle, and Voldemort just keeps getting weaker and weaker until finally Harry overpowers him, and then he dies, and he like just disintegrates into the wind. We went through all of this for him to just basically kill himself, and I just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, really? Voldemort went through all of this I bit my tongue out just to basically kill himself, because he's the one that cast the killing curse. Harry didn't even cast it. He casted the Expelliarmus, the disarming curse, and I just thought that was hilarious that his killing curse rebounded and he basically killed himself. Always at the end of Harry Potter books, there's always like a few pages for acknowledgements and whatever. And I remember getting to the end and being like, oh my god, that better not be it. And then I flipped the page and it's, you know, the epilogue 19 years later. And I just remember seeing that and just being like, I just remember the feeling when I finished the book and I turned the page and it said 19 years later. And I just like got really anxious and really excited. I'm like, oh my god, what happened 19 years later? And we have Harry and Ron and Hermione and Ginny with their kids, and many feels, many emotions during this epilogue. One of the best epilogues of all time. So yeah, that is my memory with Deathly Hallows. Next book, or book series rather, that I'm going to talk about is the Series of Unfortunate Events, and I talk about these books almost as much as I talk about Harry Potter, because besides Harry Potter, they're my favorite childhood books and I love them, and I'm trying to collect them. I only have the first, 5th, and 12th book so far, so I'm trying to get all of them slowly but surely. But I don't know, also I don't know where and when exactly I was, but I remember this one part in the books, and I think it was the elevator, the Rat's elevator book. I don't remember which one in the series that was. And literally out of the entire series, this is the first thing that pops into my head when I think of this, and it's when Sunny is at the bottom of this elevator shaft, or this well, or whatever it was, and she there's like a bunch of mushrooms or something at the bottom of the well or wherever she is, and she starts eating them. I don't know why that is the first thing that I think of when I think of this series. It's when Sunny is eating mushrooms. Like, why is that the part of the series that I remember? The other part is the very end of that series, when like it's a happy ending, but it's not a happy ending because they're still kind of alone, but like the threat is gone, so it's like a weird ending. I expected nothing less from Lemony Snicket, so it was a really good ending, and I'm beyond excited for the Netflix TV show Series of Unfortunate Events to come on. They haven't casted, nothing has come on yet. There was the fake trailer, but that trailer was pretty awesome, and it's the GIF series. The GIF set is on my Tumblr. It's the first thing I reblogged. Going off on a tangent, but yeah. The mushrooms, that Sunny was eating the mushrooms. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Don't know why, really weird, but that's the memory that I have. So yeah, those are the memories that I have associated with books as of now. I'm sure there's gonna be many more in the future. This was actually a really fun time. I had a lot of fun going down memory lane and thinking about all the time and places when I read these books. So that was fun. I think pretty much everybody has done this tag, so I don't really know who to tag. If you haven't done it, I tag you. Consider this a personal tag. I tag you. I tag. That doesn't make sense. I tag you though. Please leave any comments down below of whatever you want, of commenting on my video, asking for any other videos that you would like to see, or anything really. I love reading people's comments. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. So